player power in world building. You don't have to be the world building like Atlas. You don't have to have the whole thing on your shoulder carrying it around while you play Dungeons and Dragons. Let everyone share in the world building experience.
Like player involvement, I think you said another time when you were explaining that, like how much a player can influence the development of the world, the growth of the world. And I think every character that comes into it is bringing some backstory that's going to try to be trickled into the history of the world that you're creating. And it's a creation of a story together. So why wouldn't you want the players to have some say on that? Of like, yeah, I want to go fight in dungeons and in mountains and on a ship. So that's going to help shape how the world's going to be built.
Do you have an example of like in our gameplay, an example of like a player, like either you or someone else that...
Well, and I will go to one of my favorite to my heart characters, Will. I created that whole cult in the Everglade that the party hasn't gone to visit yet. The cult to the Green Skull, that he sacrificed himself to be reborn as a green hero for a day.
So player power in world building. So just world building in general, let's just dumb it down maybe. As a DM, you set the stage, but like it's always evolving. You set up a game, the players go a different direction. The DM is going to build the world, but the players sort of fill it out. And that's how I would describe it. I like to call player world building power is essentially like a powerful element of inspiration for the DM to use if he's in tune with the players, right?
Well, and it's part of the player's job in the game is to share with you what we're wanting to find, what we're wanting to explore, how we're wanting to interact with this world, and give you the little strings to pull to make the story great. Because your world building is not just your cities and how the mountains are shaped, it's the people.
Yes.
Your backstories is creating that web of people into this world and the connections in this world. And as a player, you're making all the connections in your game and meeting new people and asking every bartender and every stall attendant their name and their whole life story, just so Spencer has to make it up all the time.
Well, it's the forever DM.
Yeah. Well, then you find out that every stall attendant in every city is named Bob. And you start building this story of why is every stall attendant named Bob.
But I've been doing a pretty good job. Like when you come up to my Power of World Building 101, you guys are trying to figure out what to do. Ask the dean what the character's name is. That's like my go-to thing. I've said it a lot of time. Hey man, what's this NPC's name and where are you from? And I'm trying to throw it right back at the DM. DM tools for player world building, easy to build, but like I don't have the fill. So one creative way to do it is just put it on the players. And one of the best ways to do it is to ask the players questions about their character. Specifically using your background stories.
Yeah.
Put it on the players. You don't have to be the world building like Atlas. You don't have to have the whole thing on your shoulder carrying it around while you play the Dungeons and Dragons. Let everyone share in the world building experience and rely on the backstories. That's why they're there.
Well, we don't create the backstories to not use them. Like when you create that moment for it, it's like, yes, I just want to tell all the stuff and give you all the information. Let everyone ask questions about it.
But like, it's a real good way. I mean, the DM is in control.
Yeah.
A player that comes up with something random, you don't have to always use it, but it's really fun to incorporate their ideas and the world building, their particular world building into it. It makes it more like a team game than it does.
And every time you incorporate little things like that, it makes it feel more unique and more immersive, that like your little quirks are affecting the rest of the world.
Yes.
Because it's for fun.
Or like, so what would be a couple like examples, just small examples or like little tools that you think that we use in our gameplay to help facilitate player world building? And I'll go first. And lately I've been having you guys tell me what your character is thinking. So you go into this room and Chris, Wilbur smells something. Tell me what it smells like.
It smells like a slightly artificial raspberry sparkling water.
That raspberry sparkling water smell resonates with your character, and you have a vivid memory. What is that? Like,
yeah.
And then let them tell, and then where did that memory happen? Now you have a place you have to build. Now you have maybe a side quest or like and you already are immersed. I sort of want to know what's going on with the raspberry, but like, and how does that like, and then the fun part is like, how does that relate? Now that character's intrigued, and it's like, does that have something to do with this dungeon room?
Yeah. Why did that have to be revealed? Now, does the party know? Immersion, just like tools that you were saying that we use.
Tools we use to help facilitate player world building in our sessions.
Bring bits of that backstory into the sessions to see how they react, or drop names in conversations to see if they pick up on those things, to see if they're very interested in exploring that. Because you throw a name from a backstory and throw a little bait in the water to see if they catch, and draw them into a conversation maybe they weren't wanting to. So if like Jake is sitting into the back, you drop the name of his dad, and he's gonna perk up and be like, hey, what do you know about my dad?
And that's fine, but make a note. I like that. It's a different layer of immersion. It's usually all very funny to me, to put the players on the spot, whether it's the smell of the room or you have a vision. I feel like I'm going to incorporate different ways to do that. Let's scratch the tool question, just dive right into like, what do you think there are different ways that you and I can use to incorporate player world building at the table, besides the ultimate, which was passing you the baton of DMing?
Well, yeah, you can get a message. I mean, a tool that you can use, just go to your players and ask them for more information about their backstory.
Yes.
Just go and say, hey, you talked about this person. Explain more for them. Let them elaborate into those spaces in the story. Those pieces, you take all your characters' backstories and try and piece them around to see what you can throw in where. And say one area fits really well, and it might actually blend into the regular storyline and make it a really cool connection. So you're like, hey, explain this, expand this, get their feedback on how they lived.
Like a DM strategy to like build on what you were saying was maybe you build the dungeon to be, or the session, around one specific character. Maybe you build the whole thing around him. And like, you have notes from his past, his backstory. You ask prior to the session, not giving it away that you're doing it about him, but like, hey, I need a little bit more information for your next session. And then like each character has, imagine there's a dungeon.
Giving a character a spotlight. Every character loves it.
Yeah. Or like the other characters have to say something that they know about that character to get through the dungeon before the room collapses or something. And so like now you're building out. That's the way to get the player involved. But like the world building aspect of the players is endless. It's almost as endless as the DMs, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Sid the Red, he said, I'd like to get better at planning my own plot points for the campaign without making it inevitable. Is it railroad, Chris? Is that a railroad?
Yeah.
There's a difference between a railroad and a sandbox, but I think we're all guilty of doing it. But
the one way I've been thinking about and I like to do is all I think about is who my bad guy is and what is he going to be doing, like quarter of the way through, like the time period that I want him to be going through, like halfway through, like have different things change, or different aspects of what they're planning to do change. And it's not planning where the party goes. The party can go wherever, and based on your bad guy's plan, things are going to change around it. As it progresses, it gets more intense.
Now, depending on where you left off, the players will have talked, they're planning the thing out, and like they have their own strategy. So that's something to always remember. It can always go somewhere else. However, the way that you explain the plot, like if I wanted you to go into a room, or I wanted your player character, if I wanted you to go into like a room, or I wanted you to go check out the castle, or I wanted you to go get the item from the king or whatever, involve you in that. And sort of like similar to what we were talking about, player world building. If you were to involve the character, his backstory, in laying out that plot, okay, I want to get Chris's character to go into the kingdom and talk to the king and sneak and steal his crown. Chris, that crown that you see the king wearing really reminds you of something you learned at the wizarding school when you were younger. And it seems almost inevitably intriguing. What was that memory you had? Or like, what is it that draws you to that?
Right.
I feel like, I don't know if that's railroading per se, because it's sort of like, now you're going to like...
There's that main story that you want the players to go towards and follow and like try to pursue. I think it's a lot on selling it or making it feel like a threat that they need to challenge or they need to fight or go up against. And then a tip that I was given years ago, which I luckily have never had to use, was if your main story is this big fight towards changing or like chasing after this bad guy and fixing things, and your party wants to just go sit on the beach, you're like, okay, the players go and sit on the beach. Now create new characters that actually want to go and fight this thing. It's like you got to give them motivation. It's what are the players wanting to do?
Yeah.
Intriguing, like you said, like give them more motivation to go do the thing.
Dude,
make it a scarier threat or a more enticing offer. I think the door in the sky opened your mind to possibilities of you randomly open a door and you're in the dungeon I want you to be in. And I think you've used that multiple times of like, I have this cool dungeon, I'm gonna put it inside of this pizza shop.
World building with allowing your players to world build. I think it's very important. I think it's crucial for the immersion. I think it's great for you, gives you a break, it lets them build things. You have no idea what kind of cool ideas they have in their mind. And I love incorporating the stuff that you guys say into the session, or just take notes for next session.
Yeah.
Plot point or thoughts is hilarious and very fun, right?
Getting those player motivations and finding out what they're wanting to do and where they're wanting to go is going to create parts of the world, parts of the story. Or I want to go find the Thieves Guild in this town. I didn't have one planned, but hey, that's a cool idea. There's a Thieves in this town now.
So how would you do?
Or just ask them, like, hey, what are you guys wanting to do? Is there anything that you would want to look at or find in this town? Ask them.
You want me to tell you what evil Spencer would do with his powers, with his manipulative powers? I would put it right on you, and I would say, you guys are going to be here for a month. Chris is your character. Yeah. I feel like you do an earthy thing. You do an earthy thing.
We'll see.
Or maybe you're like, you know what? I'm going to let these guys build the farm, and my bard is going to go around town just... Yeah, exactly. Let them gameplay a little bit, and then burn that sucker down. There's a way to leave breadcrumbs, and there's a way to make each breadcrumb immersive, and I feel like that is the world building from the player. This is a topic that we can certainly circle back to at another Let's Talk Lore. Maybe we can talk about it with one of our D&D creators that we have coming on the shows every other time. But I feel like the world building with the players is one of the most essential aspects of the game. Like when I was doing it and creating the world, I thought it was all on me. And then like 2 years later, a lot of that world, and I still consider it mine, was built by you guys. It's actually ours. It's like really ours.
Yeah. And that's how it should be.
Viewers and followers and subscribers, good selection on the poll. We will always, on Let's Talk Lore, we'll always post a topic for you guys to choose from at the very beginning. And we'll always talk about it again in the comments. If you have anything you want to talk about, we'll stop and address it immediately. Roll high and subscribe.